here are 3 price scenarios that I'm still taking a look at when it comes to Algorand's native token called Algo in an event where maybe we do see a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Now, even though nothing I say is financial advice, the first scenario I want to talk about is maybe the idea of $3 when it comes to Algo. Now, that's a 12x from here. And now some people may be thinking, okay, why do you care about a 12x? Well, it's because, for instance, even though I know that this is not going to be the best hypothetical upside of all time, maybe, if we do ever see again a fully fledged type of altcoin season, I'm totally aware of that. But again, my criteria is to look for kind of a medium-sized project, or should I say a decently sized project with a good community, with a good fan base, and with good fundamentals, while at the same time not having such a outlandishly massive market cap, but not a micro cap either. So this fits what I'm looking for. And for instance, if let's say Ethereum went to 10 grand, that's less than a 3x from here. If Bitcoin went to 300 grand, that's also less than a 3x from here. So this is why something like maybe the idea of 12x, it really wouldn't, kind of make me disappointed, arguably, I would say. And at the price of $3, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $26 billion, which is around $60 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap that it achieved back in 2021. So I don't think it's something too outlandish. But even besides that, why am I a fan of Algorand? It's because Algorand allegedly is the technology of choice for over 2,000 global organizations, which I find very impressive. I mean, that is something that is not easily achievable. Not to mention as well, Algorand has an aspect of ISO 20022. Now, what do I mean by this? If we take a look at projects like Ripple and Stellar, they have an aspect of that. ISO 20022, that is currently being used by many financial institutions from all around the world for something called inter-organizational data exchange. So it's actually, I think, very respectable for a project to have that sort of aspect, because I don't think it is something that is easily that achievable. And again, when people take a look at Ripple and Stellar, they really like those aspects about it. And when I take a look at Algorand, again, it doesn't necessarily kind of, when I take a look at it, indicate to me that it is sort of this vibe of a project that would have something like that. But then the fact that allegedly it has an aspect of that, that is something that I find very fascinating, because again, typically when people think about Algorand, they don't really think about, this project that is heavily focused on payments or global trade and finance. At least a lot of my friends that I know don't really think that way. But then having that aspect again of ISO 20022, that is, I think, kind of the cherry on top when it comes to Algorand. I get it. There's many layer 1 blockchains out there. Take a look at Ethereum, of course, right? We take a look at something like Solana. I mean, there's a lot of options. But then, in my opinion, I just like Algorand's positioning, because I think there's not going to just be this one layer 1 blockchain and then none are really going to do anything. But again, this is just my perspective. But maybe the idea of $3 when it comes to Algo, it doesn't surprise me that much if, let's say, it were to happen during a fully fledged type of altcoin season. However, only time will tell. Now, the second scenario I want to take a look at is the idea of maybe $4, and market cap, considering current circulating supply, would be nearly 35 billion. Now, to me, this is not something that, again, I would find too surprising. I mean, we saw, for instance, again, something like BNB, even back in 2021, right? The market cap was over 100 billion, So I'm not necessarily saying that this is something too, I think, ridiculous. I don't think that this market cap is too outlandish. Now, if it would need a market cap of 200 billion or 300 billion to reach that price, then that's a different case. Even I wouldn't even care about that, right? But then this doesn't seem too, I think, again, outlandish. This is just my perspective, but only time will tell. And now I want to take a look at Algo at maybe the price of $5, 20x from here, and market cap, considering current circulating supply, would be around $43.5 billion. However, even besides all that, why wouldn't I think that this is something too outlandish? It's because I see the factors right now, for instance, how we have over 600 million crypto owners, allegedly, which is more than ever before in history. And we take a look at back at the peak of the 2021 bull run, around 300 million crypto owners. I mean, we pretty much have way more. And also on top of that, or should I say pretty much double. Also, furthermore, we take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF. I get it, Bitcoin, Ethereum, a slight pullback, but in the grand scheme of things, I think that maybe we haven't really seen a fully fledged type of altcoin season yet during this cycle, which is why I'm still staying patient. And keep in mind, we have over 600 million crypto owners currently. Imagine if Bitcoin went to 200, 300 grand or something like that, or Ethereum went to 10 grand. Would there only be that amount of crypto owners, or would there be hypothetically more? If there was more, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, again, I get it. Some people are saying, oh, take a look at the pullback when it comes to altcoins and all this type of stuff. However, personally for me, I'm still staying patient. The reason why is because even though I do not know the future, historically, altcoins typically, as a worst case scenario, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. So that would actually mean around October this year, based on the last Bitcoin halving event that happened in April of last year. Now, that's not a guaranteed date or anything like that, but I've seen historically that usually when altcoins really do decide to wake up, it typically doesn't really need such like a long timeline, right? So when people like to say sometimes, oh, October feels kind of, too short, like even December or something like that. Totally aware of that, but even take a look at Bitcoin. Take a look at how fast that moved in such a relatively short amount of time. Now, it could move either down or up, but I'm saying, like in this space, sometimes maybe the waiting time to wait for a moment like that may seem like quite a while. But if there is maybe a moment in time in which things do decide to wake up, it might not take like maybe the timeline in which case we see sometimes like in the S&P 500 or in the case of gold, for instance. And also that October timeline, it's not necessarily like a guaranteed thing because, I mean, who knows, right? Each cycle is going to be different. Maybe it happens in November, December, Q1 of next year, who knows? But then, regardless of the timeline, there's only one thing that is within my control, and that's myself. So for me, all I'm doing is dollar cost averaging, holding, and just waiting, and that's pretty much about it because that's the only thing that's within my control. I'm just preparing for a moment in time in which maybe it does wake up, and that's about it. I'm not trying to anticipate the perfect moment. It's just about preparing for a moment, if that makes sense. So I'm still staying patient, and I'm still a fan of Algorand. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.